Going to take a miracle today?
Listen, we're fighting hard to see if we can create the environment for that. It's pretty stunning to see where America is and then where Washington is. Right now, as you know, everybody across our area, the Commonwealth, and the country is worried. They're worried about one thing, and that's the economy and jobs. We've got coming to the floor of the U.S. House today a bill that will kill millions of jobs. Pretty much everyone is settled on the estimate that this is a huge job killer. The question is, if it passes in the House today, will it pass in the Senate? But remember what it does. What it does is imposes up to $3,000 of cost on the average family of four, and it becomes a national energy tax. So if you pay a light bill, if you pay a gas bill, you're going to pay higher tax. If you buy anything in this country made here that uses electricity to be manufactured, you will pay a higher tax.
But, Representative, it's for the environment.
Well, Jimmy, here's the thing about it. We've tried and we've seen in 1992 the attempt to reduce carbon emissions in Rio. The global community, industrialized community, got together and set these targets. We did it again in Kyoto, Japan, and they set targets to be reached by 2010. Everyone knows now that will fail miserably. So, the definition of insanity, if you want to reduce carbon emissions, why would you be doing the same thing again expecting a different result? We can be a lot smarter than this. Honestly, you can reduce carbon emissions if you make alternative fuels cheaper than fossil fuels. That's about what it takes. And this bill doesn't do what needs to be done, which is put the resources into the basic science so we can get there.
Well, I've been asking the same questions about the stimulus bills. Why do we keep doing these things when they don't seem to be making a whole lot of difference? Let me ask you this. Actually, I'd love to get your reaction to this, because yesterday we had our once monthly visit with Governor Tim Kaine, and a caller asked the governor if Virginia could or would impose its own cap-and-trade plan if Congress didn't pass the federal one, and I want you to listen to his answer.
A cap-and-trade program just in one state, frankly, I do not think is that workable.
Well, if Virginia were the only, let's say for the sake of argument, Virginia were the only state to do something like that, we wouldn't become the most business-friendly state anymore. There'd be if manufacturing in particular, they wouldn't be looking at Virginia, would they?
Right. This is something that is much better done either on a very huge regional basis or a national basis.
Now, here's what really struck me about that. He agreed with me twice that cap-and-trade is not business-friendly. He agreed with me twice, but he was more than willing, as long as it was imposed on a regional or a national basis so nobody had any choice, he was more than willing to see it imposed.
That is pretty striking here. I mean, think about that, Jimmy. We've got India and China that have no interest or intention whatsoever, and the other major industrialized countries are not willing to participate in this. So if we're going to try and turn the thermostat of the world down, how is it that we do it alone in the United States? I mean, that same argument that Governor Kaine used, that it would be anti-business, anti-competitive for Virginia, it is anti-competitive for the United States. It's that simple, and it's a job killer. We'll see massive job losses and shipment overseas. So I want to go back to your theme song. We do need something to stop the unfettered power of Nancy Pelosi, Ed Markey, and Henry Waxman on this. It may take a miracle, but I also think if it does pass the House today, the Senate is not very excited about having this bill.
How striking was it to you, sir, when Nancy Pelosi got all over the Congressional Budget Office about their original figures about what cap-and-trade would cost, and they completely revised them? They obviously know who they're working for, don't they?
Can you imagine? I mean, again, if we're talking about credibility and macroeconomic analysis, it's very hard to accept a revised budget estimate that is 1/10 of the original. The original Congressional Budget Office said that every family would suffer about a $1,700 cost every year. MIT says $3,000. But then the Congressional Budget Office came back with a week or two later saying, oh, no, it's only $170 per family per year without any changes of any significance in the bill. So, again, your point is a good one. there's no question. What you're doing is you're having the government decide carbon emissions is going to be a commodity. We're going to set the value of that commodity in Washington and then sell off the rights to create or emit carbon. And it's just these are failed models. These cap and trade systems, as far as carbon emissions are concerned, have not worked in Europe. Wealthier is healthier. Wealthier is cleaner. We ought to be focused on generating prosperity, getting people back to work, and then taking our resources, investing them smartly in sound science.
Well,
and green technology.
or if you want to set up tax credits or whatever you want to do in order to encourage people to be green, by all means, by all means. But I prefer the carrot. It sounds like you and I are in sync on this one. Let's take the carrot approach, not the stick.
That's exactly right.
Now we've got some farm state Democrats. Obviously, we have some blue dog Democrats who don't seem to want to have to go along with this. Are there enough of them? And are there enough people on the fence where phone calls and emails by the hundreds and thousands could make a difference?
Well, listen, any of your listeners, this morning who may be represented by, in the 5th District, that represented by Tom Perriello, he certainly needs to hear from you. And maybe some who are listening that are represented by Glenn Nye down in Tidewater, they need to hear from people. We don't need this extra national energy tax. So you're right. There is a lot in flux still. We'll have this bill come to the floor. It is Speaker Pelosi's highest priority.
All righty. Best of luck. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Jimmy.
U.S. Representative and House Minority Whip Eric Cantor.